Good afternoon, everybody. It's Braden Chown, Assistant Golf Pro, back at Desert Blume. This is episode 2 of our summer-long golf video lessons. And today we're going to talk about putting. I hope everybody enjoyed the first episode where we did a chipping lesson. Hopefully you all improved your chipping and took some tips from that helped your game. Now we're going to the putting green. So today I'm going to start with a few things, kind of the basics of putting. Some things that'll really help you guys. First thing I'm going to talk about is the grip, how we hold the putter. There's lots of different ways to do it. The one thing you want to avoid with your putting grip is holding it the same way that you hold your actual golf club when you're doing a swing. The reason for that is we're looking for a grip on our putter that avoids using any wrist action. So if we use our regular golf grip to putt, the tendency is going to be to want to use your wrists. So you can experiment with different grips, how you hold the putter, and honestly it really doesn't matter as long as you find something that works for you, that keeps your wrists locked into place and avoids a lot of wrist action. So for myself, for example, I play golf right-handed and I putt left-handed. And when I putt left-handed, I hold the club with my hands in the right-handed position, just to confuse you right off the start. So my hands are in the right-handed position, which is actually, it would be cross-handed for lefty. So what I do, I double interlock my fingers. You'll see a lot of professionals on tour do the single overlap with their top index finger. Some people do a double overlap. Some people just do a single interlock. There's different grips you can try. The point is that experiment for yourself, but use something that is different from the regular golf grip, how you would usually hold the club. So experiment with different grips. Find something that locks your hands into place, whether it's an interlock, an overlap of some sort, something that avoids any wrist action. So, moving on. I want to talk about ball position. With putting, it's going to be slightly different for everyone, depending what putter you use. Putters actually, believe it or not, have loft to them. Some putters have different loft than others, so the ball position is going to be slightly different for each golfer, but generally it's going to be slightly forward from middle and anywhere right up to the front of your stance. You never want to see ball position with your putter towards the back foot. That's going to put an awkward spin on the ball, kind of a backspin type stroke or roll to the ball, and it's going to result in inconsistent putts. What we're looking for is a nice consistent roll on the ball, and we get that by having it slightly, usually forward in our stance. So when you do your stroke, the putter is actually going upward slightly as it hits the ball. That puts a consistent roll on it. So once again, experiment with yourself. Come out to the putting green, try hitting a few putts with the ball somewhat close to the middle, and then shift it. Try it up towards the front of the stance. You'll notice a difference when you hit the ball, if it's hitting the sweet spot or not. If it's putting a good roll, you'll be able to feel it, just like when you hit a good drive and it hits the sweet spot. Same thing with your putter. And you can find that by changing ball position slightly. So experiment with that. Experiment with your grip, experiment with your ball position, but avoid having it anywhere towards the back foot. Slightly in the middle or towards the front of your stance. That's what we're looking for. And the third thing I'll talk about is the actual stroke. As I said with the grip, we want to avoid any wrist action. Putting green's a very short grass, the ball rolls quickly. When you use your wrists, it creates a power stroke into the ball. Consistency wise, you're going to have a lot of trouble if you're using a lot of wrist in your putting stroke. You're going to hit the ball too hard a lot of the time. So, like I said, you find a grip that kind of locks your wrists into place, so you end up with a triangle between your arms, across your shoulder, and down this arm. And you want that triangle to be maintained throughout the stroke. So my wrists are not moving, and you'll hear a lot of the time that good putters use their shoulders, rock their shoulders. It's actually more so your back muscles that you want to focus on. So if you're out practicing your putting on the putting green, hit some putts, or even just practice your stroke without hitting any putts, and make the center of your focus your back muscles. Feel those activating as you move the putter back and through. And if you can feel your back muscles kind of activating back and through, that'll create a consistent golf stroke. So we're not using our hands, we're not focusing on rocking our shoulders, because that can result in a bit of a swaying. It's actually your back muscles I want you to focus on. So focus on those. That should create a nice, consistent, very smooth putting stroke. No wrist action, very consistent. So those are 3 tips when you're out practicing your putting. Focus on those. Experiment a bit. Try different things. Don't be afraid to try new things with your grip, with your ball position. You will notice if you're hitting the sweet spot or not. Just like I said with your driver, you can tell if you hit a good drive. Same thing with your putter. Change your grip, change your ball position, you'll notice a difference. Finally, before we finish, talk about a few drills you can do. Really good drill to improve your putting is you can get more. I got 3 balls here. You can get more balls. You create a little circle around the golf hole, and you want to putt all the way around. So you'd spread the balls slightly apart. You'd start at the first ball, try and hit it in. You'd go to the next ball, hit it in. You'd go around the entire hole and just circle until you're kind of had enough or you get bored. Go around the hole. That's going to give you different speeds. Find a hole that's on a slight slope. That'll give you different speeds. That'll give you different breaks to try, and it'll show you which putts you're making and which putts you're struggling with. That will identify what you need to work on the most. One more tip for you before we finish. If you're off playing a new golf course you're not used to, this is a good tip to try and find the speed of the green. What I like to do is I'll come out to the putting green if I'm on greens I'm not familiar with, and I'll do a stroke where the putter stops at my back foot. So I'll do a stroke like that, and what I'm looking to see is how far the ball goes. So that went, maybe 10, 12 feet. So now I know on those greens, if I putt to my back foot, a stroke that goes to my back foot, the ball's going to go about 10 to 12 feet. That's a good way of gauging. So if you have, say, a 20-foot putt, then you'll know you got to go slightly past your back foot, just a little longer. If you have a short 6-foot to 8-foot putt, you'll want to stop that stroke just inside your back foot then. That's a great way to gauge the speed of the greens when you're on greens that you're not used to. That's pretty much it for putting. I hope you got a few tips out of this, something you can work on. Like I said, don't be afraid to experiment with your putting. Try different grips, try different ball positions, and see what works for you. Everyone's a little different. We're all built slightly different. You got to find what works best for you. Find a grip that you're comfortable with that locks your wrists in. Find the right ball position where you're hitting the sweet spot, and hopefully that results in making more putts. If you need any help, come see myself or the other professionals at Desert Blume, and thanks a lot for watching.
Drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's hot, park it like it's hot, park it like it's hot. And if a get an attitude, pop it like it's hot, pop it like it's hot, pop it like it's hot.